guys, welcome to the Stylistpreneur Podcast. I am your host, Damali Fils, and today we have with us Christina Flach. She is a world-renowned celebrity artist with experience working with celebrity clienteles, magazine, and big-name brands. Christina, come on in the room. How are you?
Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for having me today.
I'm so excited to have you. We have a lot of
Oh,
hairstylists on the
anytime.
show, but I love to have makeup artists on the show because our work is pretty similar as far as getting clientels, as far as
Mhm.
working with brands. So thank you for coming on the show today. So
Thank
Christina,
you.
give us your
Yes.
background. How did you get started?
Well, I am a celebrity makeup artist and I am the CEO and creator of Pretty Girl Makeup. And I'm
Mhm.
starting a new brand called I'm Too Busy, and it's
Ooh,
going to be skincare and makeup. And I'm also a beauty expert on California Live, NBC. I'm a
nice.
philanthropist and I'm a mom.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, how are you balancing all that? Because that sounds like a lot,
It sounds more than it is.
right?
It all works itself out.
Right. I
Don't be
mean,
impressed at all. It's just
right? I mean, we have to wear
it's
all
not
these
all the
hats.
things one day. Yes, but it's not
Gotcha.
every day. You know, obviously the
Gotcha.
mothering is every day, but my kids are older now, so it gives me a lot more flexibility to
Uh-huh.
do different projects and different TV shows than I was able to do when they were little.
Gotcha. I can believe that because I have a 2.5-year-old. So it's kind of
Oh,
like,
so
oh my
you're in
gosh,
it.
yeah. Oh
Yes.
yeah. So when it comes to working with celebrities, like how did you get into working with celebrities? Like what was that transitioning point?
The first celebrity is always the hardest one to get, and once you get
Oh,
one, it's a lot easier because then
right.
you know, typically I had an agent, and you know, when you start getting them, it's easier for them to book you with different celebrities. They have a lot
Okay.
more confidence in you once you've
Right.
got a few more. So um, it's so interesting and it's fun. It's
Mm-hmm.
obviously a lot of hard work and long days and early mornings sometimes, but
Yeah.
it just kind of started with, I started out just like everybody else, working on
Mm-hmm.
friends and family, and then that segued into doing weddings and then photo shoots, and then getting, an agent really was, you know, changing, life changing for my career. I was able to get booked with Gucci and Louis Vuitton, and then, getting the Hillary Swanks of the world, and different people like that. So that's kind of how it happened, just little by little.
Oh, wow. Now, is there any like memories that stick out to you as far as like working with these amazing clients or brands?
I think, every one of them is special because they're such a different experience. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think, it was such an honor getting a Gucci and a Louis Vuitton. And then
Mm-hmm.
with my different celebrities that I've been blessed to work with, um, I'm trying to think. It's just so fun having that
Yeah.
one-on-one time to have conversation with them.
Gotcha.
People like Rita Moreno, who have I admired, all my life, being able to work with her on People Magazine, and
Mm-hmm.
Condoleezza Rice, and then the different athletes and musicians. And I work a lot with the Food Network
Okay.
and Fox, and Bloomberg. So those are like three, networks that I work with a lot.
Okay. Now, with many years in the business, things are forever changing. The trends are changing. Like I know how I do my makeup. I do it the old way. Like I've seen the girls applying like the highlighter differently, and I'm like,
Right.
I can't keep up. But for you, it's like a must that you keep up. So how are you being able to keep up, and how are you incorporating that into your work?
Well, I think first of all, I'm a lot like you from the perspective that I look at the trends, I enjoy them, but
Mm-hmm.
they don't always work
Right.
in real life on a photo shoot. Because think about it, if you watch TV or magazines or any ad, there's not all of that fuss going on. There's not all the baking and the highlighting
Right.
and the contouring. That's fun and entertaining, but it's certainly nothing that I would ever use on a client because I don't have that much time typically. I have to
Right.
have their hair and makeup done in under an hour the most. So, those type of things are not for a real life makeup artist. It's for an
Gotcha.
influencer, or someone that's just playing around with their makeup. But for real life, it never ever happens.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I'm like that girl that's just like, oh God, what are we baking for? So I've
Yeah,
never gotten
and where
into
I don't
that.
even know where they came up with this. But
Right? Because I have
I
my
think it's
routine down to like 15 minutes, and I'm just like, dude, I'm not
perfect.
adding anything else,
Right.
right?
Right. No, and I
So,
think it's important for every individual to look at themselves in the mirror and figure out what is the way for them to look like the best version of themselves. And so I think, the trends come and go, but I think
mhm,
it's really important to just figure out what works best for you and your lifestyle. Those are really big factors. How much time do you have in
right.
the morning to get ready? Are you in a business, or, are you a CEO of a business? You can't really go in there looking completely glamorized every day. So it's
Right.
important to figure out your lifestyle and what makes you look like the best version of yourself.
I totally agree with that. Now, Christina, there are a lot of up
Yes.
and coming makeup artists that want to be in your shoes, that want to be able to say they're celebrity makeup artists. What advice would you give them?
You have to work really hard and pay your dues. It's not just like, oh, I want to be a celebrity makeup artist and I'm one. It took me years and years to get a celebrity. Um,
Okay.
and I've had to do a lot of jobs that I get paid very poorly or not at
Mm-hmm.
all.
Okay.
Because, you know, so I guess the best advice I would give someone when they're starting out is get a lot of experience, go into a salon or your friends and work on as many faces as you can and get really
Okay.
confident and really fast. That's super important. If you have an opportunity to get signed by an agent, that helps a lot. And
Okay.
also just know that it's going to take a long, long time to get to that place. It's not something that happens overnight because this is an incredibly competitive field.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of hard because a lot of celebrities or different brands only want to work with people that have a lot of experience. And
Mm-hmm.
then how are you supposed to get the experience if they don't
Right.
take a chance on you? It's such a conundrum, It's like, how am I, they had
Right.
that at the beginning. They're like, oh, well, she hasn't worked with enough celebrities. So that's why you just have to keep working with, work with different photographers. I think that's super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Arrive on time, do your job, keep your makeup kit impeccable. Um, don't be demanding. I'm not a celebrity. I mean, I
Right.
work on celebrities, but I am not one. And so I don't have this big ego that, oh, I'm too good for this project. I
Gotcha.
do a lot of, you just have to, be willing to, it's a team effort. So when you're working on a TV show or a campaign for a brand, there's producers, directors, there's stylists, there's lighting people, there's sound people, there's all these people. We're all a team. We all have to work together, and sometimes
Right.
you have to do work that is not what we want to do.
Gotcha.
You have to help out on the team. You have to go help the lighting person or the director or the producer. And sometimes you have to, wake up, unless you're willing to have, being a makeup artist is not consistent. Even
Gotcha.
at my level, I, like this week, I have nothing booked. I checked in with
Okay.
my agents today. There's nothing. Last week I was booked. And for the last 7 weeks, I've been working every day for seven
Gotcha.
days. Even for 7 weeks, even during those times I had a day off, I was getting paid. So that was like a dream. It's very rare
Gotcha.
that you get paid, a lot for days you don't work, but I was blessed to be able to do that.
Gotcha. So when you do have that fluctuation in your schedule, like, does that scare you, or are you just like looking for more work, or like what happens during that time period? Because that could scare someone.
It definitely does. And you have to be comfortable with it. I always say you need to have plan B. And my plan B is I'm on California Live, NBC. I'm a beauty
Okay.
expert. I have my brand, so I'll work on that. I will do podcasts. I will write articles. I will reach out to my agents, checking
Hmm.
in. I will do. I do a lot of, like, when things are slow, and then my agent will tell me book a flight somewhere,
Okay.
because anytime you book a flight, oh, someone miraculously calls and wants you. So you have to be able to cancel those flights sometimes. But
Right.
you just have to know it's, enjoy the time off,
Hmm.
do everything you can to get new jobs, and then just know it will pass. It
Okay.
always does. But it's hard. And a lot of people are not comfortable. My sister is an executive with Costco. She thinks
Okay.
my life is insane. She does
Right.
not, because she knows when she's going to work. She knows
Hmm.
when she's going on holiday. She knows when she's off. I know nothing. If someone asks me, oh, what are you doing next week? I'm like, I have no idea.
Right.
You have to feel comfortable with that. It's uncomfortable for sure. But
Okay.
the bonuses of having this job, meeting incredible people, being able to
Hmm.
travel, being able to be creative. It's a great job, but it's intense sometimes.
Gotcha. So you mentioned being creative. Now, when you are working on these projects, like you have your creativity, but you're meshing with companies, you're messing with clients. Like, how are you able to keep that balance with wanting to do what you want to do and doing what they want you to do?
You have to listen to the client. You're getting
Okay.
paid and it's got nothing, I might suggest something,
Hmm.
but I also have to know that these people are going in front of a camera. And if they're uncomfortable with how I did their makeup, they're not going to be able to do their job. So I
Right.
want to make their job easier, not harder. So it's super important that I listen to them, perhaps make some suggestions, but just my ego is not involved at all. It's all
Gotcha.
about the client.
No, and that makes sense because that's how you get rehired. Because it's just like, Christina did my makeup, and like I've heard so many hairstylists, this stylist did my hair the way she wanted to versus listening to me. So that makes complete
Right.
sense. Yeah.
Right. And you're not going to be successful in anything in life, whether it be makeup, hair, or being in a business situation. You have to listen to people. You know, I think it's important to offer an opinion, but in the
Hmm.
end, it's their face. It's not my face. So I have to really be thoughtful of them.
That's very true. Now, when you say like challenges throughout your career, whether it be like finances, dealing with clients, getting new gigs, like what would you say are some of the major challenges?
Uh, being a makeup artist, I think, just knowing the instability of the profession
Hmm.
and knowing that you could work and then not work. You have to be okay with that. It's very hard, and a lot of people can't afford to do what I do
Hmm.
because they have a mortgage and kids, and it fluctuates. Sometimes I
Right.
make a ton of money and sometimes I make nothing. So you always have to kind of have a plan B in place
Okay.
and be comfortable with that. And it's not always, and some makeup artists when they're starting will work in a salon or they'll work in a store.
Hmm.
But then that kind of messes with your flexibility if your agent calls and says, hey, you need to be somewhere
Exactly.
tomorrow, and you can't. So it can be challenging at the beginning.
Gotcha. Now, when we hear the word celebrity makeup artist, like we think your life is grand, like you got it going on, right? So, what would you say are some misconceptions about that?
That it's so fun and glamorous every minute, and it's not always. It's hard work, it's long hours, and it's early days. Last week I was at Bloomberg for 2 days. I woke up at 4:45. I had to be on set at 5:45.
Oh gosh.
So unless you're willing to have very odd hours,
Hmm.
and that's hard also if you have young children.
Right.
I was very lucky. I had a nanny when my kids were little, and I didn't really take the amount of jobs that I take now, because my
Hmm.
number one thing was to be a mom.
Gotcha.
And
Same
so,
here.
yeah, right. That is
Yeah,
the most important thing. So, but I think it's also great that my kids see that I love what I do and that I work
exactly.
hard, and, I don't give up. And so it all works itself out. You just kind of
Right.
have to make a plan and be okay with the plan kind of turning left and right sometimes when you think it's going straight.
Awesome. So now, in order to get that clientele, I can only imagine that you do a lot of networking, trying to build relationships. Like, how important is that in order to build those clients?
It is very important. So I always think when my agents call, I say yes to whatever.
Okay.
Sometimes it's like a great job. Sometimes it's a job like, oh my God, they want me to work how many hours for how much money?
Right.
Um, I always make sure that when I'm on set, I thank whoever hired me. I follow, I thank the whole crew. I tell them, if you ever need a makeup artist, here's my number. Um, I always, whoever the client was, I will send a note after saying, thank you so much. I look forward to working with you again. It was such a
Hmm.
pleasure. So just, being polite, being
Right.
positive, showing up on time, doing your job, making sure that your makeup kit is impeccable. I don't use any of the products that are in my kit ever. I don't
Okay.
use the brushes. I don't use the makeup. I don't bring any of my personal, it's not clean. I get paid a lot of money, and no
Hmm.
one's going to want to be paying someone a lot of money to be using what I
No.
use on myself.
Right.
I see that a lot with people. They'll show up with their own stuff. And it's like, oh my God, no.
I believe you. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like I'm the same with my kit. Like I leave it to the side. It's ready when I'm ready to go. Otherwise, like you're trying to like pack it and you forget something. It's just like, no,
Right.
just have
It
that
always
for
has to
that.
be ready. And I think it's just what you mentioned. It's super important to be disciplined that
Mm-hmm.
after, when I'm on set with let's say I have 2 or 3 clients at one
Mm-hmm.
time, I have brushes designated for each person. And in between using them, I'm constantly cleaning them. At the end of the shoot, I'll take the brushes home that I used and clean them properly.
Okay.
I wash them with shampoo and conditioner. I make sure they're really clean. I also make sure that my kit is ready all the time. I don't throw it. I take the time at the end of the day of the shoot to make sure everything is put back in its place so I know where it
Okay.
is. And if I get a last minute call from a client or my agent that I have to be, I am ready at all times. And that is really, really important, and making
Yeah,
sure that your kit has everything for every skin tone, every skin type.
exactly.
Super important.
Okay. So when it comes to like managing your career, I know you said you had an agent, but is there anyone else on your team or like what are some major things you do in order to like keep everything managed from your beauty brand to being a makeup artist? Like how are you doing it all?
Well, my agents book
Okay.
some of my things, but then some clients I have, like I have some clients with like Fox, Food Network, and no, Bloomberg's with my agent. So some of them, they just contact me directly. And so I have to manage it. I also have an assistant. I have 2 assistants. One
Okay.
does my bookings for podcasts, articles I write, and my other assistant does all like updating my portfolio on my website,
Okay.
helping with blogs, making sure and that's another thing, making sure it's really hard. Sometimes I feel like I'm herding cats trying to get images from photo shoots,
Oh
but
yeah.
that's super important to make sure that your portfolio is updated.
Yeah.
Super important.
Yeah. I've had that where I'm
So,
just like, hey, did you forget I was the hairstylist for that photo shoot? Like,
yeah.
please
And
send me
so
the images.
I Google my clients sometimes. Sometimes I Google myself and then images will appear. And then you just
Okay.
have to be constantly following up. And then you want your portfolio to always be updated. I make sure that like my podcasts are up or my videos from, California Live are updated and they're on the
Okay.
portfolio. So it is constant, you know, I always have to send new images from any photo shoot to my agents so they
Okay.
can, because they have a separate portfolio for me that they send out.
Okay.
So I make sure they have all my images and then they know what's best to put up and then sometimes they'll remove some old images and update with new ones.
Gotcha. Awesome. So when it comes to the future of makeup, like what do you foresee for the future? Like I know we have like all these Instagram people and influencers on TikTok, but what is your stance on what the future of makeup artists look like?
I think it's, a lot of it is clean beauty. I think people are
Mm-hmm.
really, it's a big thing for people that they want to make sure that everything they're putting on their skin
Mm-hmm.
is not going to be cancer causing or, hurting your skin. So I think that's all important. And then I think, these trends come and go and we just have to flow
True.
with it. I've been a makeup artist a really long time. There were no influencers when I started.
Right.
There was none of this stuff that's going on now. So you just have to stay in your lane and just keep focused on what your goal is to do your job and not worry about all this other stuff because it's going to change. As soon as you figure it out, it's going to change.
Gotcha. I agree with that. Now, will you say, is that what kind of gives you longevity? Just being focused on what you're doing in your path?
I think what gives me longevity is that I work really hard. I'm not a pain in the ass. I show up on time and I do a good job. And I'm always pretty positive and happy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think people like working with me because they know they're not going to have any problems with me. They know
Okay.
I will get the client done on time. They'll be flawless. And there's not a lot of post, you know, fixing of images with me
Gotcha.
because I'm on set. I make sure that the client doesn't need a lot of touching up with hair and makeup. So
Mm-hmm.
after it, they're happy to work with me because they don't have so much more work to do after.
Gotcha. Amazing. Now, Christina, there's one question I ask every guest when they come on, and that is, what is your superpower as an entrepreneur?
Relentlessness.
Ooh, I love
I
that.
don't give up. I have a
Okay.
goal and I just keep on track. And, sometimes the goal changes,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm still focused on my career. And I think also I'm so grateful for everything
Mm-hmm.
in my career, to work with the people that I work. I get such joy out of looking at a magazine or something online, a campaign, that my work is there. That does never I never go, oh, whatever, I don't care.
Right.
It's always like, oh, wow, look at my client, look at my work. I'm so proud.
That's amazing. Now, I do want to make sure that everybody's able to follow you, stay in contact with you, and check out your beauty brands and everything you got going on. So where can we stay in contact?
You can go to ChristinaFlach.com. My Instagram is Christina Flach Makeup, and prettygirlmakeup.com if you want to see my products.
Yes.
And Pretty Girl on Instagram is PrettyGirlNkup.
Amazing. Well, Christina, thank you
Yeah,
so much. I know you're a busy
thank
lady, so I'll let you
you.
go.
You're a
Have an
doll.
amazing
Thank
day.
you. You as well. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.